Good morning, good morning, good morning. Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. This is the pre-show mantra. The show will start momentarily. I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be rich. I deserve to be wealthy. I deserve to be free. The more you learn, the more you earn. Thereby, the more you earn, the more you learn. Wall Street, the stock market is a machine, and I am more than capable of operating this machine. Let's get into it, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you're tuning in from around the globe, I'm your host, Matt Riches. Welcome to the $1 Trillion Tickers broadcast, and welcome to the $1 Trillion Tickers family. This is a live market breakdown covering the $1 trillion stocks, SPX, the NAS100, SPY, and QQQ. We cover pre-market levels, opening bell moves, headlines that move the market, and or are associated with our $1 trillion stocks. We'll be looking at charts, checking out Bitcoin and Ethereum levels, sectors, and some motivation along the way. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment only. Always do your own research, but you can use this show as a foundation for your research. So the market is closed today. Today is a holiday. It is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday. So the markets are closed, y'all. Today we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose leadership helped change the course of American history and world history. Dr. King led the Montgomery bus boycott, helped pass the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Acts. And he stood for justice through nonviolent action. He reminded the world that progress comes from courage, discipline, and moral clarity. His vision of equality, opportunity, and dignity continues to inspire movements for fairness and unity across generations. Today is a reminder that real change is built with purpose, persistence, and principle. Salute Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our ancestor, our legend, our icon. All right, let's get into these charts, y'all. So the market is closed, but it looks like futures are moving. So as you can see, this was Friday up here, and then it gapped down to Sunday. And today is Monday, and we are going down further. We just broke the low from 1:40 a.m. We just broke the low, y'all. So we are trending down on SPX. Let's check out the NAS100. Same thing. This was Friday. Gap down here on Sunday. And we just broke Monday's low at 2 a.m. We just broke it to the downside. We do have a lot of I wonder if the VIX is open. Nope, even the VIX chart is not moving. But the only two charts that are moving right now are SPX and the NAS100. So I really wasn't going to do a show today, but I have a lot of stuff on Twitter that is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of this news because a lot has happened over this weekend. So I just want to keep everybody updated. All right, let's start with this first piece. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney praised a new partnership with China's Xi Jinping during a 4-day visit to China. Where's my audio at? All right, that audio is not working too good. Let's go on to the next one. Let me turn on TikTok right quick. All right. This next piece of news is from Benzinga. A Ford employee suspended after heckling President Trump has received a surge of public support. Nearly 800,000 was raised across 2 GoFundMe campaigns before donations were paused. The incident occurred during Trump's visit to the Ford Dearborn factory. The video showed Trump making an obscene gesture and mouthing a profane response toward a heckler, later identified as TJ Sabula. Sabula, a 40-year-old Ford worker and member of the United Auto Workers Union, reportedly criticized Trump over his handling of Jeffrey Epstein's investigation. He was suspended pending the outcome of an internal review. Well, he actually called Trump a pedophile protector. The video went viral, and he got over 27,000 donations to equal over 800,000, including 5,000 from WWE legend Jim Cornette. I don't even know who that is. Before pausing donations. Yeah, so dude thought he was gonna yell that at Trump, but no. He actually got suspended for that. But then he ended up getting almost $1 million in donations. So, depending on where he's at financially, he might be ready to retire. All right, next piece of news. Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, said he's not worried about California's proposed 5% tax on billionaire wealth. He said, "We chose to live in Silicon Valley, and whatever taxes they decide to apply, so be it. I'm perfectly fine with it." All right, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm wondering if I could put... Nah, it's not gonna work. All right. Next piece of news we have. Micron has officially broken ground on its new $100 billion memory manufacturing complex in New York, calling it the largest semiconductor facility in the United States. And a lot of CEOs have something to say about it. I'm not going to read all those, but if you want to check it out, it's on Stock Market News on Twitter. Let me just read a couple of them. Jensen Huang. As AI transforms every industry, advanced memory has become essential. By bringing manufacturing to the U.S., Micron is strengthening America's AI infrastructure and supply chain resilience to power the next wave of AI breakthroughs. Let me just put this on a 1-minute chart so y'all can see the movement. Okay, Tim Cook. Tim Cook said Apple is bullish on the future of American manufacturing, which is why we launched the American Manufacturing Program as part of our $600 billion commitment to the U.S. for more than 2 decades. Micron has been an important partner providing memory technologies for Apple products people use every day all around the world. We're proud to support Micron as they make new investments to further strengthen leading-edge memory manufacturing and R&D here in America. And I'll just read 2 more. Satya Nadella, chairman and CEO of Microsoft, said, "We're entering an era where AI is being built into every application and every workflow, and memory is foundational to delivering that intelligence with the performance and efficiency needed at scale. Today, Micron is taking an important step toward increasing critical memory capacity and strengthening America's leadership in advanced manufacturing." And Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, said, "Advancing AI depends on having a strong, reliable supply chain, and cutting-edge memory technology is part of that. Micron's new manufacturing complex in New York is a big milestone for the U.S. manufacturing and is going to help deliver performance and scale we need for the next generation of AI." Shout out to Micron. All right, next. Riot Platforms climbed 5% when they released the data center deal with AMD. Tesla gets a 5-week extension in the U.S. probe of full self-driving traffic violations. Amazon's chief security officer, Stephen Smith, has publicly stated that the company has thwarted over 1,800 attempted North Korean infiltrations since April 2024, with attempts rising about 27% quarter over quarter. Global billionaire wealth overall climbed to an all-time high of roughly 15.8 trillion in 2025, y'all. This is from Wall Street Journal Markets on Twitter. JP Morgan Chase is building out a new team inside its investment bank to help companies raise private capital as an alternative to going public. This next piece of news comes from Unusual Whales. OpenAI has invested in CEO Sam Altman's brain-computer interface startup Merge Labs, y'all. To everybody just tuning in, salute to everybody on YouTube Live and TikTok Live. The market is closed today. It is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday, so I will just be reading the news. And I'm going to just leave this chart up here. This is the NAS 100 chart on the 1-minute time frame. All right, so this is from Unusual Whales. The Trump administration is going to allow people to take money out of their 401k and use that for down payments. Wow, okay, I like that. Trump said he's going to allow people to take money out of their 401k to put it for a down payment on a house. That means no penalty. So I think that's great. Especially if housing prices are going down and the rates are going down, then that's definitely beneficial. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said, "I do not believe there is an AI bubble by any imagination." Shout out to bro. All right. Let's see. Jim Cramer on Twitter said Apple is down 7 weeks straight. That is insane. Man, that is one of the most valuable companies in the world being down 7 weeks straight. What does that mean? Does that mean it is a good time to buy Apple? Let's check it out right quick. Let's check out Apple on a daily. And let's see what kind of discount we at. Oh, Apple's actually in the gap, y'all. Apple is in the gap. Let's see. Apple hit an all-time high on December 3rd. And it is currently down 11%. So that is a good first entry into Apple. If you wanted Apple at 10% off minimum, you got it. And you'll probably have it on tomorrow at the open. All right, I'm going to go back to the SPX chart on the 1 minute time frame and get back to these news. This next piece of news comes from Charles Coney, Uncle Charles, on Twitter. He said, so 1 in 8 Americans is taking some type of GLP medication to lose weight. Check the companies as stock prices continue to climb. That is a lot. That's more than 10%, y'all. People are really taking this GLP. Ozempic, for the most part. All right, this next piece of news comes from Kathy Wood on... She was on CNBC. She had this to say about 2026, y'all.
And well, one of the things that we've learned over the last few years is we can see inflation coming down clearly, but in the reported numbers, it is stuck. And I think a lot of people are wondering, wait a minute, this market is near record high valuations. How can this be? This is a setup for a correction, and we're looking at other periods in history. If you look into the 90s up to 97, I think it was, and in the 2000s, the early 2000s, we had very strong markets as the multiple moved down. So what does last year teach us? We must assume that valuations are going to compress, and we do. We do that in our bottom-up analysis for every company. But we're pretty excited about the inflation outlook thanks to oil prices, housing prices big time. You see the home builders, KB Home, cutting its prices by 7%, and others following. And productivity gains, unit labor costs coming down dramatically. I think on a year-over-year basis, they're up 1.2%, but the last quarter reported they were actually negative. So there are a lot of deflationary pressures, and the last one I'll cite is technology. Our focus is exclusively on technologically enabled innovation, and in each of the 5 major platforms, robotics, energy storage, artificial intelligence, especially blockchain technology, and multi-omic sequencing, healthcare. I saw the CEO of Bio, very good. Those are all very deflationary in their impact. So pretty excited. We think the prices are going to be on the low side of inflation expectations.
Yay! Okay, Kathy. We finna run this bag up. Finna run this bag up in 2026, y'all. Next, Tesla CEO Elon Musk said our AI 5 chip design is almost done, and AI 6 is in the early stages, but there will be AI 7, 8, and 9 aiming for 9-month design cycles, y'all. This next piece of news comes from Dan Ives. He said, we believe tech stocks will have a very strong fourth quarter earnings season led by big tech as the cloud stalwarts Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon had very robust AI enterprise demand in the quarter based on our field checks. This is a mid 1996 moment, not a 1999 moment for tech, y'all. So he's still very bullish. I thought this was interesting. Trump actually said he's about to sue Jamie Dimon. Let me read it right quick. A front page article in the this is Trump's tweet, y'all. He said a front page article in the fake news Wall Street Journal states without any verification that I offered Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase the job of Fed chairman. The statement is totally untrue. There was never such an offer, and in fact, I'll be suing JP Morgan Chase over the next 2 weeks for incorrectly, inappropriately debanking me after the January 6th protest, a protest that turned out to be correct for those who was doing the protesting. The election was rigged. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you get it. You get it. All right, this next piece of news comes from Peter Lynch. It's actually a 1 minute clip. Check it out, y'all.
I frankly think it's a tragedy in America that the small investor has been convinced by the media, the print media, the radio, the television media, that they don't have a chance. That the big institutions with all their computers and all their degrees and all their money have all the edges. And it just isn't true at all. And when they're convinced, when this happens, when this occurs, people act accordingly. When they believe it, they buy stocks for a week, and they buy options, and they buy the Chile fund this week, and next week it's the Argentina fund, and they get results proportionate to that kind of investing. And that's very bothersome. I think the public could do extremely well in the stock market on their own. I think the fact that institutions dominate the market today is a positive for small investors. These institutions push stocks on unusual lows. They push them on unusual highs. For someone that can sit back and have their own opinion, know something about the industry, this is a positive. It's not a negative.
So us as retail investors, we just gotta follow the big money, and we can make money right along with them, y'all. We good. We good. Okay. Next piece of news comes from the Kobayashi letter. U.S. venture capital investment in rare earth startups is skyrocketing. VC investment in U.S. rare earth mineral startups hit a record $628 million in 2025. This marks a 3,000% increase from 2024. And this figure excludes government deals, including a $400 million equity investment from the Defense Department in MP Materials in July. As a result, U.S. startups attracted around 90% of all global funding for rare earth minerals last year. This comes as China controls about 60% of the global rare earth mining output and over 90% of refining capacity. The U.S. is rushing to reduce reliance on the Chinese rare earth supply, y'all. Yeah, man, if they got in last year, it's definitely been running. So, yeah, they got in early, man. That's why we gotta follow the news, man, so we can know what's going on, so we can get in early too. All right, this is Trump talking. Quick clip.
We gave you 1776. Meanwhile, grocery prices are starting to go rapidly down. Rent is down. Airfares are down, hotel rates are down, cell phone prices are down, and we're just getting started. But more importantly than going down, our growth is through the roof, way up.
It is. I didn't know that. All right, another Trump quote, right quick.
We're also going to revoke the citizenship of any naturalized immigrant from Somalia or anywhere else who is convicted of defrauding our citizens. We're going to get them the hell out of here fast. And if you come to America to rob Americans, we're throwing you in jail and we're sending you back to the place from where you came. We're throwing you right in jail. We're also...
I find that very interesting because had the Native Americans said that about the Europeans when they came to America, it will be a very different America right now. All right. This next piece of news comes from Aristotle. He said, every year I spend $30,000 on black art. I need some more great pieces this year. Salute Aristotle for dropping 30 racks a year on black art. Okay. Since this is $1 trillion tickers, let me let y'all know. The top 10 largest stocks in the world are now worth a combined $26 trillion, y'all. $26 trillion. That is phenomenal. That is incredible. That is almost unfathomable. Okay, so we do got some earnings coming up. On Tuesday, we got Interactive Brokers. We got KeyBank. We got US Bancorp. We got PayPal. We got Robinhood. We got S&P Global. That is on Tuesday, y'all. So look out for those companies. Yes, earnings season has started, y'all. This next motivation comes from Charles Coney. Uncle Charles said, change your mindset and become more patient in your life before you become a patient. Salute Uncle Charles. Dropping that knowledge. All right. I thought this was interesting. College football teams are now worth billions, per the Wall Street Journal. Let me check out some of the... So, Texas is worth... The University of Texas is worth $2.1 billion. Texas A&M, $1.5 billion. Ohio State, $1.5 billion. Louisiana State, $1.5 billion. Michigan, $1.4 billion. Notre Dame, $1.4 billion. Georgia, $1.4 billion. Penn State, $1.4 billion. Alabama, $1.4 billion. Nebraska, $1.2 billion. Man, they talking about, and they just started paying college players with the NIL deals. These damn football teams are worth billions, and they got an issue paying players. Y'all don't get that. Come on now. All right. This next piece of news is from Forbes. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, added $62 billion to his fortune after private investors more than doubled the valuation of his AI and social media company to $250 billion, y'all. Elon Musk closes in on a $800 billion net worth. He trying to hit that trillion, y'all. He is trying to hit that trillion. All right, we got more Trump talking.
Everybody said that the cars are dead in the United States. If you go back 4 years ago into the middle of the Biden administration, everybody was closing up their plants. Now we have more plants being built in our country than at any time in history. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it's the election November 5th, and it's other things, but it's also, I think, maybe the biggest part, the election, because I'm the tariff person. And everybody now admits that I was right on tariffs. And I hope that we win the Supreme Court case.
Everybody admits you was right. I don't know about that, but shout out Trump, man. All right, this next clip comes from Jensen. He's been interviewed. I don't know who's interviewing him, but check it out.
You once told me that you really didn't like firing people and very seldom did it. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I'd rather improve you than give up on you. You know, when you fire somebody, you're kind of saying, well, you know, a lot of people say, well, it wasn't your fault, or I made the wrong choice, or there are very few jobs. Look, I used to clean bathrooms, and now I'm the CEO of a company. I think you can learn it. I'm pretty certain you can learn this. And there are a lot of things in life that I believe you can learn, and you just have to be given the opportunity to learn it. I had the benefit of watching a lot of smart people do a lot of things. I'm surrounded by 60 people. They're doing smart things all the time, and they probably don't realize it, but I'm learning constantly from every single one of them. And so I don't like giving up on people because I think they could improve. And so it's kind of tongue in cheek, but people know that I'd rather torture them into greatness.
That was the phrase that I was hoping to uncover. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, so I'd rather torture you into greatness because I believe in you.
Shout out Jensen, man. That's the type of CEO that I want. Running my company. Always dropping good game. But that's it for today's show, y'all. We got to cut it short. I got to go to work. Yes, I got to work on the holiday. I don't know if I'm getting holiday pay. Hopefully I am. But salute to everybody on YouTube Live and TikTok Live. We'll be back tomorrow in the pre-market for the pre-market levels and the market open and some more news. I had a lot more news, but I gotta go. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom.